Hey, welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I'm your host, Ron Dichter. Very excited to be here today. We have got somebody who I personally have a million questions for, but some are personal that I probably won't subject everyone to, but a guy that has been an elite trainer for a very long time, who has sustained kind of peak physical condition, as you can see by him, for those of you on video, for a duration, but he comes to us with a very solid brand called HurleyTough, and excited to hear a story. So Mike Hurley, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on board.
Ron, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to talking to meeting you guys. So I appreciate you inviting me on.
Absolutely. So take us back to the very beginning here. What is well, not too far in the beginning, but beginning of like HurleyTough. Like, what inspired you to create that? And how did fitness become such a central part of your life?
Well, I have to actually go back to very, very, very beginning. So that's where I started, at the very beginning. Now my father gave me a love of the sport. He's a pretty tough dude. Captain of police, retired, very by the book, power lifter, huge power lifter. And this is going back in the 60s and 70s. There was always weights around my house growing up. And, funny thing is, I'm only 5'7". Everybody in my family is 6'1", 5'11". So everybody's tall besides me, and plus everybody has hair. I'm the only guy. Anyway, so growing up, I had, I wasn't playing much sports, but I had a love for football, and I started playing football Pee Wee and junior Pee Wee leagues, and I was doing really well. I did extremely well, but going up into the next level of high school, I had to really make up the difference between me being short. So I knew I had to get faster and get stronger. My motivating factor, believe it or not, my mom just started and opened, like 5 years prior to me starting my lifting career, opened a pizzeria, a restaurant pizzeria. So, I worked there. I worked literally in grammar school at 10 years old. I worked, 15, 20 hours a week. I had to go start the business up before they get started and then run to school. Long story short, let's fast forward. It's time to play football for high school. My father comes to me and says, listen, this is the deal. If you don't start, you're at the restaurant. You're making pizzas, because there's no such thing as sitting on a bench and waiting to get called in. You're playing or you're not playing. That's it. So my motivating factor was I didn't want to make pizzas on a Friday night. So that motivated me to work out. I worked out every day. Like he trained me. It was like 3-hour sessions. And I'm going to explain to you a quick session what he did. Like, he would write down everything I did. He wrote out a whole workout program, wrote down everything I did wrong. Then after I finished the workout, I'd have to go back and do it the right way. So these workouts were like 3 hours long. And he wouldn't allow me to have a drink of water unless I finished the workout and completed it. So he put like a bucket of water on a little countertop, and I would just, and it was really in the garage. It was a dungeon, 2-car garage. In the summertime, he'd close the doors, make it hot. In the wintertime, he'd open the doors, make it freezing cold. So he said, you have to fight the elements. And, I had to deal with all this kind of mental and physical toughness going through these workouts. And, I never worked out with a friend. Like, guys, people go to the gym, and he would not let me go to a gym. He said, you don't pick up bad habits that way. So he taught me for like 4 years of high school doing that. And I was able to get stronger than anybody in my high school. And it was all under a natural approach, because most guys in that high school were taking supplements to help them excel. And that was just not allowed in the household. So, that gave me my first push and love for, because I didn't first look different. I started feeling better, and I started performing better. And it was never about how I looked. It was all about the performance element of it. So it wasn't like I did any the bodybuilding things. It's all like, how much better can I possibly perform when I'm on the field or I'm on a wrestling match like the wrestle as well. So that's what gave me the love for the sport of exercise and fitness. And then from there, the product brand just became overwhelming. I held everybody to that kind of standard. In the beginning, to be honest with you, a lot of people were afraid to train with me, because I would ask my father, like, Dad, when do I breathe? Like, when you're doing the set, when do you breathe? He said, well, if you're in a fight and somebody's choking you, you ain't breathing. So don't breathe. So I would do a full set holding my breath, because I was afraid somebody was choking me out if I could get through a fight. Or, I used to surf. So he said, if you get toppled with a wave and you're under the wave, are you breathing? I'm like, yeah, no. So that kind of crap made sense to me, but I couldn't really train my clients that way, right? So when you're exerting energy, exhale. So, the toughness came from just in life in general, we're always overcome some kind of adversity. So it was either my height, I had to overcome that adversity there. I had to get faster and stronger. So it was always some kind of level of adversity that I always had to overcome to get to that next level of fitness. And I just never stopped. And what gave me another love and passion, because once football was over and wrestling was over, I was kind of fumbling around. I didn't want to do the restaurant business. My sister had a fitness. She met somebody that bought into a fitness store. Basically it was a health club. It's a very small health club called Nautilus Form. And I was like, Kath, I want to come work there. She's like, yeah, no. I'm like, why? I've been working out longer than you, twice as long as you. What's going on? I know so much. She said, yeah, but you're fat. I'm like, what? I was kind of fat. I was bulky. I stopped playing football. I stopped wrestling, but I kept eating the same. I was working out, but I was like, it wasn't cute, right? It was just like a block of mess. And I looked at my mirror. I wasn't happy the way I looked. And she kind of like pushed me a little bit and said, if you want to work here, you got to look the part. And that was another thing that stuck in my mind. I was like, yeah, you got to lead by example. So if I want people to do a certain thing, I have to look a certain way. I got to perform a certain way. So we can flash back. You can take pictures of me like when I was 21 years old and when I'm now. It's kind of like almost the same person because I just, I've always never really changed. I always just stayed the same. And my goal in life was always to, if I can maintain the same level of fitness at 20 into my 30s, my 40s, now it's my 50s, then I've achieved that thing called longevity.
Yeah. And listen, I'm going to go back to your dad saying, like, if you're being choked out or you're underwater, you can't breathe. Like, I can't fault it. That makes tons of sense. I never thought about it that way, but you're right. Like that resonates with me.
Well, yeah, I'm feeling the pain of the weights, whether I'm squatting or something like that. And I'm hoping, now don't forget, you have that chance that you might pass out. And sometimes I put the weight down, I feel a little lightheaded and dizzy. But when have you not, an altercation, or I wrestled, or I got sunken under a wave when I was surfing, and got up and I felt that dizziness. And I recognized that feeling, and I knew how to handle my body and how to like get myself out of that feeling. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to pass out any second now. I knew how to control my breathing after the fact. Yeah. I knew how to bring my mind back to center again. So believe it or not, it crazy as it sounds, it really helped me a lot in life, in everything in life.
I get it. So you talk a lot about mental toughness and mindset on your platforms. How do you define toughness in like the modern world that we live in today, beyond just physical strength?
And that's what a lot of my workout routines are for. I was thinking, if I could beat myself up so physically, then the mental stuff is that much easier. So that's why for me it goes hand in hand. I work out with a lot of guys that, multimillionaires, billionaires, or whatever, and some pro athletes I've worked out with, and I've always trained them so hard where the harder it was training here at the gym, when they had to go out in the real world, whether it's playing a sport or sit across from a board meeting, they were able to handle that a lot easier for them because it wasn't hard anymore. They just put their body through hell. Like in training, you're trained to go to failure all the time. You're always failing. So now when I got to sit across from somebody and just talk, that's easy. Yeah. So that's part of the mental aspect of saying, okay, and in life, adversity is going to happen. You're going to have more bad days than good days probably. So you have to fight through all those bad days, and it's those good days that bring you happiness and bliss. So when I'm working out, I'm training, and it's not always a great day, I just always look forward to the next day is going to be even better, and you just keep on building that platform. And mental toughness, I really believe, is within yourself. Like, you have to be consistently committed to yourself. Before you could do anything for anybody else, you got to be consistently committed to yourself, because that's such a broad umbrella. Like, everything you do in life, you have to look at it for yourself, make sure you're good so you can lead by example and give that to everybody else. Because, I'm all about giving back. So I want to give my energy level back to everybody. So I make sure that, I'm at that same level. And I hold myself to the same standards. Like, I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. Whether it's overcoming injuries and adversities. I think before the talk, I tried to tell you, I just got over a full knee replacement. About 3 years ago, I got hit on my motorcycle, and I did about 10 yards in the air. Flew in the air, literally flying in the air. My life flashed before me. I did a hip roll. I'm landing in the curb, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay. I try to get up, but everybody's like, stay down. I go in for a full scan. No broken bones, no nothing. God's great. I had an ankle injury, but it exacerbated my knee issues. I had always had these ligament tendon problems, and I had arthritis, knee on knee. But come to terms that my right knee was slightly dislocated, and I had an ACL tear, and meniscus was completely gone. But through that time, I still trained like an animal. I just put knee pads on and went. It's almost like ignorance is bliss. What you don't know, you don't care. Like, I don't mind, so I don't care. So it's like you just keep going with it. So I went with it, and I trained hard because I wasn't going to let anything, all those aches and pains that I was going through, I just, when it's time to train, I just train. Same thing now. I just got my MRI back for my left leg, and full ACL tear, MCL slightly teared, a cyst in the back of the knee, meniscus torn. Doctor was like, I was showing videos of me working out, and he's like, that's not normal. Like, you shouldn't be able to do that. And I'm like, well, it's like going back with you think you can or you think you can't. You're right. So I never thought I can't do something. I always felt pain, but I couldn't hurt myself anymore. I knew the damage was already done. I knew I was in pain. I knew I couldn't do anything more. So what's the real choice that I had? Tired or hurt and fit, or tired and hurt and fat? The choice was mine, but the choice is always yours. Like, I have people come to me all the time. Mike, I'm so tired at the end of the day. I just trained 9 people. At the end of the day, even tonight, at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, I'm going to go work out. So I'm exhausted, tired, long day. But what makes you do it? What's really my alternative? I'm still going to be tired. I'm still not going to get enough sleep. So I'd rather be in the best shape of my life and feel good than be out of shape and not feel so good and look in the mirror and say, oh, I wish I could be this way. I wish I could do this. You can't wish yourself to success. You got to really take charge and listen, it's rare that you get that, and I try to instill that with all my clients. And everyone, like, listen, I've been training for over 40 years now. It's close to 40 years now I've been training. And over 5,500 clients I've had in my portfolio. I can go back, like, I just started training this woman again, and I trained her like 20 years ago. And she said, hey, do you have my numbers from 20 years ago? I have written pamphlets and books of their workout. I went back. I said, oh, yeah, your body fat percentage was X, Y, and Z. She's like, how do you keep this stuff? Because I have archives of everybody I train. So, I could always go back in time and replenish what I did and see what their progress was and what they fall off to and everything. So I got off on a little tangent, but the key element is consistency. You got to keep going. You have no choice. And if you make an excuse, then you got to look yourself in the mirror. Are you being really true to yourself, or are you making excuses? No, I got no time for excuses. Excuses ain't made for the big leagues.
Yeah.
I don't want to be average and ordinary. Nobody wants to be average and ordinary. So I'm sick and tired of being average. So you've got to do whatever. And this is kind of something you can control. You got your business going. Let's say something happens bad. You go bankrupt. The business fails. You have no control over that. You did your best you can. Your body is something you kind of control over. You can control what you put in your mouth. You can control the output. There's not much you can control in the world. So, okay, Mike, you're a control freak. Call me what you want to call me. But I'm going to try to lead in that same, modality.
I love it. I heard a T-shirt in there that I can't remember, it was fit and hurt and healthy, or fit and hurt. There's a T-shirt in the making there. I like that. So you built obviously a really strong brand. What have been some of the lessons, or maybe even some of the mistakes that you've learned while you've been building out HurleyTough? Like, what can you pass on advice to some of us?
The biggest lesson, I don't think it was really mistakes I've learned, because I don't think there's ever really a mistake. I think every time something doesn't work, you just figure out a way to make it work. So it's just like that constant keep going. My biggest take I could take it in life in general that you got to give somebody is, and I even tell this to my kids, and I tell this to everybody I train. I train a lot of kids. I say, do something you love. Like, do you know what passion really is? Do you know what it really feels like to love something? Do something you truly love, because it's never going to feel like work. And even on your hardest day of work, you're going to be able to overcome that because you're doing something you love, and it'll be a pretty good day anyway. I've had tons of people that, Wall Street, hedge fund guys, all these, and they literally are miserable. They hate their jobs. They're stuck there. And, those are just one category of workers. But I've had tons of people that just hate doing what they do. And they're miserable all the time. Like, I'm not going to go through my whole life being miserable. I'm not going to go out doing something that I hate doing. Now, of course, you need to have that financial reward because you need to, take care of yourself. But I really truly believe if you give out a good service and if you're true to yourself, and the only advice I could give people is always have integrity. Like if you tell somebody you're gonna do something, do it. Like we talked when I first met you, like I give a service out before I take a service back in. I will train you for a month, and if you like what you got, you like what you're getting, then I'll take the money from you. If you don't, no harm, no foul. I love you, you love me. We go on our ways. It's all good. It's all good because I'm still gonna give you education. I'm still gonna give you knowledge. However, I don't want anything from you if you don't feel like you've really achieved what you want to achieve. I have somebody today that said, yeah, I just signed somebody up. He want a new client of mine. He just came on. He said, you know what? I love that you do this because I have my friend of mine. She just bought like 10 sessions from somebody and she hates going to it. I said, that'll never happen here. Because the minute you don't like it, the door's open. You go. I don't want anybody to be burdened down of like, oh, I got 4 more sessions to train with this guy. No, you got no session to train with me. It's a revolving door. You keep coming and you're going to keep your results. You don't want to come, you don't get results. It's okay. So I'm all about the best advice I can give somebody is provide the service, be true to yourself, be true to that person. Because, you might get by one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, but sooner or later, they're going to smell a phony. And it's going to come out. And your reputation is all you have. Your credibility is all you have. And once that's gone, what do you have left? So to build a business, I believe you got to give that little bit more principle.
Yeah.
Do your job plus a little bit more. I'll train somebody plus a little bit more. I'll give maybe a stretch at the end of the session where, I usually charge. No, don't worry about it. I'm going to give it to you anyway. I'll give a towel service, water bottles, all the water you want. Whatever it is, that little bit more principle that you want to add to your business, create a raving fan. Make sure they go to nobody else and like, wow, I never experienced that before. I never had that service before. Be service driven. Serve others and you'll be served down the road.
Yeah, I love that. Not many people adhere to that kind of a philosophy, but I love it. So
my mother did that. When I watched her in her business, she took a business she knew nothing about, a restaurant, pizzeria restaurant. She had a love and passion for it. She went out and searched the best products. So she paid a high level of price for the product. And she went out and gave the most that you can. So let's say a meatball parmesan was 6 meatballs. She gave 12. Great quality. And her profit margin wasn't high, but she sold so much volume, it was high. And nobody can say it wasn't good. It was great. Raving fans. Lines out the door. So I learned that from her, and I stuck with my own business.
Love it. Love it. Well, your programs attract a wide range of people. I mean, you mentioned you've got hardcore athletes, you've got people just getting started in their fitness journey. I'm gonna guess, and you tell me, like, how do you approach, those different levels of coaching, and like, what's the skill that you have to apply to make sure that you get the right motivation and the right program to each person?
That's a good question. I look at each person as an individual, but I categorize them as an athlete. Everybody wants to be an athlete or feel like an athlete. And once you're training this hard, I train athletes and I train a regular person. And there's not much difference in their training. It's the same workout programs. I bring the same intensity levels and I write everything they do down and I chart their progress. So what we try to do is with everybody as I approach them is I look at their strengths and their weaknesses and I more or less concentrate on their strengths. And at the back end, I build their weaknesses up. So they always feel like they're achieving something, and I'm covering the surface of that basis of getting through their weaker points without them not even knowing. Like I'll hit weaker exercise and do things that they're not really good at somewhere in that workout program, and they don't even realize they're doing it because I'll give them something that they like doing, but they're good at it. So, and the other thing is I motivate them by, I think what I told you at the beginning is, like I've had pro athletes, I've had multimillionaires, and I had the regular blue collar guy. Everybody pays the same rate. So you might be making $1 million, but again, and I know I can command $250 a session if I wanted, but I don't. $75, and you know why? Because I want everybody to have the opportunity to train with the best. You shouldn't be, just because you make so much money, don't think you're not paying not only for a service, you're paying for a time spot. So I had a pro athlete one time. He came and was like, Mike, when can I train? Well, this is my availability. If you don't show up, I don't care that you play for the Nets or the Knicks or whoever. I don't play for the Kansas City. I don't care who you play for. It doesn't matter to me because you're just another person that I've got to get to a certain goal. You know, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you're not going to show up, I'm not going to provide that service. You got to show up. So if you're taking a time spot and also you don't show up, then that's not going to work. I motivate people because I let them know that somebody else is going to be right there to take your time spot. So how bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want to be? It's usually people that are sick or tired of feeling like crap and they want to feel better. And I got a lot of people that are overcoming tons of injuries. So it's another issue. And that's another thing that keeps people motivated. So what motivates them is just their approach on it. I treat them like an athlete because they are athletes. And I make them realize that not many people are doing what you're doing. Like, the workout programs are I got 25 different workout programs. And you might start off with 3 or 4 or 5, and then you expand to a booklet of like 20. And you're like, how did I accomplish all this? You're no different from the guy that plays in the NFL. You're just not going to get paid as much as him, right? But you're doing the same workout routines, and you're performing well, and you're looking great, and you're feeling great. So it's kind of like I try to train everybody the same, or I get them to the same level, and they don't even realize it. They don't even realize it until it's 6 weeks later, and they look at their chart and like, how did I go from doing a front squat? This lady was looking at her front squat. She's doing a front squat. The first time she did a front squat with me with a dumbbell, she had a 20-pound dumbbell. She has a 75-pound dumbbell in her hand now. She said, how did I get there? Well, a year and a half later, you're doing a 70-pound because I document everything. If you did it once, I can kind of bring you up little by little by little by little. You're consistent. Mike, you did this. No, I didn't. I did do it. We did it together because I can write the best workout programs, but if nobody shows up, you're just dead in the water. So you got to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. Love this. Now, I think I already know the answer to this question, but I got to ask it just for everyone listening. So discipline is obviously core. It's like a non-negotiable for you. I can already tell that. So how do you personally cultivate discipline, and maintain it for this long of a time frame? Like, you've clearly had this a long time. How do you maintain that discipline in your own life? And then how do you teach it to others? Because that's, like you said, that lady went from dumbbells from 20 to 75. Like, that takes discipline. How do you teach that?
You teach that, again, through leading by example. For me, my workouts were non-negotiable from day one. Like, what's funny is that, there wasn't any room in the NFL for like a 5'7" white guy, right? I just knew that was going to happen. But I'd go out sometimes, like when in my 20s, I go to these workout facilities. I do these crazy workout routines in my 20s and 30s. I said, just maybe somebody's going to recognize me and say, man, this guy's a badass athlete. I want him on my team. And that I would mentally like trick my brain to say that, oh, somebody's always watching. You never know who's watching. I could be in my garage and I'm like, somebody's watching. For me, God's watching me all the time, right? So I gotta put that energy out there. So I gotta make sure I'm doing the right thing. So I make sure that, again, I always lead by example. And what real my discipline comes for is, I just hold myself to a certain standard. I'm tired like everybody else. I'll sit down on the bench here and I'll sit down like, man, I don't want to do this work. I don't want to do it. And I just sometimes I start slow. And I'll start myself slow. And I know once I finish my warm-up, I do my mile on the stair stepper, I'll do my 100 push-ups, I'll do my light power snatches, I'll do some movement preps. And I'm like, okay, 15, 20 minutes in, let's get it started. The biggest part about discipline, I think, is just getting started. And I keep that in my head. Like, I keep little notes around the house for myself all the time. Just get started, non-negotiable, be consistent. I keep notes, reminders, because you're going to get hit with a lot of negativity. Every morning I wake up for 30 minutes of prayer and meditation. Now, some people might wake up and go to the gym. What I do is my mind's got to be right first. So I condition my mind to focus. And I've been doing this pretty much my whole entire life. 30 minutes every morning before I look at my phone or anything, it could be going off. I'm like, no, let me give myself 30 minutes of mental toughness because the world is going to beat me down. So let me be mentally prepared. And that's what I try to, again, I tell everybody this. People ask me, what do you do? I give everybody verbatim the routine I do every day. And I don't know any other way. Once you create a habit, unfortunately, you create good habits and bad habits. You can be alcoholic and take a drink every day, right? You break the habit, you won't be an alcoholic. For me, I never broke the habit of fitness. I did it every day, no matter what, because I felt such a sense of accomplishment. Coming out, whatever. I drove back from the shore from seeing my parents. It's 11 o'clock at night. Go on the stair stepper. I watch a movie while I'm doing the stair stepper. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, I'm not gonna sit on the couch first. I'll do the stair stepper while I'm watching the movie. Like, it's just something you got to put in yourself. Again, do I expect everybody to do that? No. So when I do train people, I can't control what they eat, right? I tell you what to eat. I tell you what to put in your system, but I can't control it. But what I could control is when you're here, and I'll beat you so badly that you don't want to eat anything. I'm just joking. I don't beat you that bad. But I'll train you so hard that you're like, hey, hopefully this will stick with you, because I can't control what you eat, but I can control the output. So we'll do that.
Yeah, I love it. I'm not ruling out that I'm not going to get beat though if I don't eat properly if I train with you. So I'm not ruling that one out. So a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives, people that have really busy lives. What advice would you give to them on fitting in fitness and also that mental resilience when they have a crazy packed schedule?
I love it. And I do like 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute talks after every one of my workouts every day usually. And I post it sometimes on my TikTok or whatever. And it goes back to what I said before, Ron. It's not negotiable. Once you tell yourself you're beat, you're beat. Once you tell yourself you're tired, you're tired. Everybody has a long day. On Mondays, let's talk about my Monday. I get up, drive my kid to school, 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. Come back, get my coffee, get myself my meditation, get my meditation right, whatever. My day starts. Start 9 o'clock session. I don't end until 9 o'clock that night. So usually back to back on Mondays. Do you know 9:30 at night I'm down here doing that stair stepper? I'm doing my workout. You know why? Because who am I to say not to do it or to do it when I'm not doing it? I hold myself accountable. You remember we said you're going to be tired of fit or tired of fat. The choice is yours. Do you want to be fit or fat? Do 30 minutes. Everybody has 30 minutes. Don't tell me you're too tired. And don't tell me you don't have the money to pay for a personal trainer. Because you know why? You can stop drinking. Don't buy that bottle of wine. Don't buy the fancy whatever. Don't go to a fancy dinner for one night and you'll be able to train. So it's what you put as a priority to yourself. Remember, this is only one life you have to live. This is your only vessel. How you choose to do it, you want to do it. I don't want to be 80 years old and not be able to be functional. I have an 80-year-old guy that can still body surf with his grandkids. Kind of that's what I want to do. Where do you see yourself? When I train somebody, I don't train somebody for like what they are right now. Like if you came into me, I'm looking at guys that are in their 30s or 40s. I'm saying, okay, I'm training you for what you're going to look like in your late 50s and 60s. I do not look at you now. I might hear your goals, but I'm really not paying attention to that because I know something's more important. Is your longevity, and time never loses. So if you don't keep on training and doing something every day, sooner or later, time's going to beat you. So I think the most motivating factor for me and what everybody should be is fear. Fear is not being able to do the things you used to be able to do. Because if you don't do it, if you're not moving all the time, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
And okay, you might miss one day of the week, but don't create the habit and miss 2 days. Don't create that habit because habits are easy to be made. Bad habits are easy to be made.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that, so burnout, and somebody who works out every day, burnout's got to come into your mind. Like that's a real thing for some people. And, how do you manage through, especially if you get to the point where there's injury? You talked about your knee. Like, how do you manage burnout as, life just throws curveballs at you and you've got to try to balance and keep pushing towards those big goals. But when you're encountering challenges, like how do you stay on that mission and how do you avoid burnout?
So one is I don't train heavy and with weights every day. It's 3 days a week. I make sure I hit the weights really super hard. So it's only 3 days a week I'm really killing it. The other days are cardio, light movement, mobility type workouts. So I'm doing something every day. And this is what always motivates me. I'll tell you a story real quick. Do we have time for a quick story?
Go for it. I love your stories. Let's hear it.
My older daughter, she's complaining that she always has to work harder than everybody else. She's short, she was shorter than me. She's 4'11", playing, running track and playing soccer, but she always has to work harder than the next person. She's always called me on one day that she was complaining. She was really complaining. I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, this kid is ungrateful. She doesn't know how good she has it. So I drive about 3 blocks away from the house, around the corners where she's never seen. And I'm sitting out front of the house. I said, sit here, shut up, don't say a word. Actually, be thankful right now because I cursed, and I didn't curse on the platform, Ron. I just held myself. I was bounced, and I caught myself. Yes. Okay, so I'm sitting there, I'm cursing at her, because, you know, I'm an older guy, and this is the generation I live in. I almost gave her a back smack, but a kid comes rolling out of his house in a wheelchair. And he's got a little smile on his face, but you know it's not a great smile. And he's rolling down his little ramp in front of his house, and he gets to the bus. He needs help to get onto the bus, brings him into the thing, and he drives off. I look at her, and I said, you got 2 healthy legs. You got a healthy mind, a healthy body. How dare you complain because you're a little shorter than everybody else? Don't you think you would love to be able to get out of that wheelchair and just run down the block, walk down the block, sit in front of his friends and have regular food? He has to breathe out of a tube. How dare you take something for granted and just throw it away like that? So when I look at myself, somebody always has it worse than me. There's somebody out there with who cares about my knees. Somebody has no knees. Somebody's in a wheelchair right now doing it. So who am I to complain? Who do you complain? There's no burnout is in your mind. Don't tell me like somebody says, oh man, how can you? I've been training like this for 40 years. I remember I was going to health clubs and like, Mike, you're gonna burn out. You're training too much, 10, 12 people out a day. There's no way you're never gonna make it. Oh, 55 years old, I'm still doing it. You know, when you love it, you love it. You gotta own it. There's no burnout. Burnout is an excuse that a loser will say to himself to make themselves feel better for not achieving what they were supposed to set out to do. Sorry for being harsh to anybody who's listening, but you're going to be a loser if you don't hold yourself to a standard of excellence within yourself. And I always said I want to lead by example to my family as well. If I tell my daughter to be a certain way and to do a certain thing, I got to do it. She sees me in pain. Do you know, Ron, I got to crawl down the stairs sometimes when my knees are in so pain. But when I get ready to work out, I warm them up. I literally have duct tape around on my pads, and I go and do the exercise just to say, you know what? I could do it. And I owe it to the person who can't do it. And I'll be damned if I sit there and say, you know what? Poor me. Woe is me. Oh, this isn't working out for me. Oh, I had a bad day. Nobody's coming to rescue you. Nobody cares about your bad day. Your wife don't care. Your kids don't care. I don't even care. But you got to care. You got to hold yourself to that same level of excellence because you know what? You only have you. Got to be consistently committed to yourself. And you'll achieve all you want. You can take that same advice in any area of business you want. I choose to do it with my health and fitness. I wish I could do it with my financial. I'm getting there. But in my health and fitness, I hold myself to that standard. So there's no burnout. Don't ever tell yourself you're burnt out because then you are.
Yeah.
Don't tell yourself you're tired. Everybody's going to be tired. Shake it off. Throw some cold water on your face. Figure it out. Just go figure. Because you know what? 10% of the people in the world are kind of successful. There are other people who are just average and ordinary. Remember we talked about being average and ordinary? Nobody wants to be average and ordinary. And those 10%, only 1.5% of those percent are going out there and going to go out there and fight like a dog to achieve greatness. So do you want to be that even 1% to go out and achieve greatness? Whether it's in your financial life, whether it's in your relationship life, whether it's in your fitness life, whatever part of your life you chose, go be that 1% and be the best version you possibly can be.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think if I take anything out of here, which there's so many good nuggets of advice that you've given out here, but like perspective is so important. Like that example of watching the young man in a wheelchair coming out and putting your daughter in kind of perspective, like that hits. So.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're running to the end here, and I just want everyone to know, I mean, man, like you've got amazing passion. Clearly, you've built a tremendous business, and your clients have been impacted. And I just hope that everybody can get out of this, frankly, what I've gotten out of it just in the time that we've had together. But, and, I'll add all of your links so that people can connect with you. But is there any particular site that you want them to go to if they want to learn more about you or if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, I post everything on TikTok and Instagram, and that's probably the best place to follow me. I do have some YouTube stuff. I do stuff on YouTube as well, but those are only real big platforms. I mean, listen, my home number is on my platforms. I feel free I can talk to people. Call me sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning because I don't sleep. To be honest with you, I'm up till 3 in the morning usually. I talk people off the ledge a lot of times. I try to give people inspiration. That's what I love. Helping others. So if anybody's out there just needs that little push, and you know what I charge? Unfortunately, I don't charge anything. You get what you get. You don't get upset. The best advice is sometimes the free advice, but unfortunately, I learned this. Sometimes if you don't put a price upon things, people don't buy it, right? People don't accept it. But I kind of flip it. I'm like, well, that's on you. If you didn't take that advice, because you got it for free, if you want to just not use it, that's okay. I'm okay with it because I'm out there just trying to inspire and create messages and help build people up. That's all I want.
Well, listen, you're a tremendous human being, not just from your muscles, but also from the way that you project yourself out there. I think you personify exactly what Projecting Grandeur is all about. And I just want to say thanks for joining us. You've been
Actually, thank you. I really appreciate when you first approached me on a podcast. I was like, man, I haven't done a podcast in like a year. I'm like, I love it. All I do is these 2 or 3 minute talks. Obviously, I love to talk, right? It's good. I didn't curse. And, Jersey, you curse a lot, but I've been good. But man, I really love that you invited me on your podcast. Thank you for taking the time as well. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been a joy. And everybody out there, don't forget to connect with Mike, reach out to him. He can give you some great advice, as he said, but he's also somebody you probably want to train with. And until next time, let's get stronger together, everyone. Take care.